So I started singing, and people were like, "Oh my God, she can sing! It's crazy!" I was the church kid. I was the goody two shoes. I was the one that did all of the homework. I would be in church and doing my homework. Most days were good. Some days would be like, dang, like, okay, I'm sort of like an outcast in a sense. And most people are considered an outcast when they do the bad things. And so for me to kind of like be the outcast or the loner because I'm doing the right thing, it was really like confusing to me.
What up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of the RXS podcast. Today we have more than just a special guest in the building. We got family in the building.
Hey.
Gang. Jalisa Faye, how are you?
I'm doing good, Mom. What's up?
What's up? You finally made it in the building.
Finally.
This is
here.
like a long time in the making.
Very much a long time in the making. I'm a little ashamed, but it's okay. We're here now. That's
all that matters. So what you been up to lately?
So I've been working, church, traveling, singing, teaching, coaching, doing all that stuff. Good stuff.
Did you ever think you would be using your gift on this level?
I feel like I did. I didn't know exactly how I would get to this level. So like the way it happened was really like not shocker, but just like, oh wow. Okay, this is how it's going. Okay, Lord, we're going this way. Cool, got it.
So you knew it would happen, but you didn't know how it would happen.
Correct. It
That's
was like
interesting.
the level was just like, wow, this is where we're going. Like I gotta move. Oh, okay, that's what's gonna happen. Oh, okay, got it.
So let's before we talk about it, let's go all the way back to the beginning.
Okay.
First of all, where were you born?
I was born in Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Lauderdale. Hey, what was it like growing up there?
Fort Lauderdale, I grew up in like the hood. So grew up in the projects.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, I guess, like, not like any other hood in your area, but if you grew up in the hood, you know, we have those similarities.
Yeah.
You know, I'm running around outside, playing around with the neighborhood kids, you know, that type of thing. Going to church. That was always a thing. My mom loves the Lord. Shout out to my mama. Okay. So I was always going to church. I loved music. I went to school outside. Like my school wasn't in the hood.
Okay.
So I went to Nova High School. Anybody in South Florida know about Nova High School. It was more so, even before I went there, it was like more so known as a predominantly Caucasian school.
Okay.
But more of us started going out there.
Yeah.
So like I went to all the Nova schools, elementary, middle, high school, even my university. I went to Nova University. So I went to school in Davie, Florida.
Okay.
So growing up, I kind of had like the best of both worlds. Like I grew up in the hood, but then I went to school with a lot of different other nationalities, ethnicities. You know what I'm saying? So I had kind of like the really well-rounded childhood. But I was a music baby too. So that was
so when did you discover that you knew how to sing? Like how old were you?
How old was I? So I really started dancing before I was singing.
Let's go.
I was a dancer. My mom had me in like ballet class and dance class and stuff like that. When we transitioned to Redeeming Word, which is my home church, shout out to Redeeming Word.
Yeah, shout out.
When we went there, I was 4 years old and I started dancing there, but I was always singing at the house. And my sister was the one that actually like found out that I could sing. I was probably 3 or 4, and she would like bring me in front of my mom, like, Mom, listen to her sing. And after that, like my mom would just like secretly record me on a tape recorder. And then like she would go and sing at different like services, like do the sermonic solo or something, and she would bring me with her, and then I would start harmonizing with her and singing with her.
Interesting. So your mom sings.
Yep. My mom sings. My sister sings. My dad could carry a tune actually as well. And my dad played the trumpet in high school.
Oh, that's fire.
So, music was all around. He can whistle actually very well.
For real?
Yes, and it gets on my nerves because it's like, why can you do runs when you're whistling? Like, he's that good.
So he can whistle well, but not sing well.
He can hold, like he can carry a note.
But he can, like, he more fancy whistling than he is singing.
Yeah, for sure. So he's a fancy whistler. Now, if he had to like say if my dad was in church and he had to do like devotional, he could do that. He could sing good enough to do that.
Yeah.
Like do devotion before. Yeah, like he could do that. He could.
But your mom was like the singer.
My mom is the singer for sure. My mom, my aunt
yeah.
sings, like pretty much the whole family. Honestly, we're all very musical. My cousins, they dance as well as sing. So yeah, it was a thing.
So once you started singing, did you put the dancing down?
No. So I sang, I had my first like solo Christmas time when I was like 7 years old at the church.
Okay.
This was the first time that I sang, and I was always like going to choir rehearsal with my mom. Like I was at everything that the choir did. And so Christmas time came around when I was 7, and I had a solo, and that was the first time people actually really heard me sing for
Interesting.
real.
Okay.
So I started singing, and people were like, "Oh my God, she can sing! It's crazy!" So yeah, like that was the thing. But I kept dancing after that, and then maybe around, I want to say maybe middle school. That might have been when I stopped dancing, and I just kind of went right into singing. I became a part of my youth group praise and worship team.
How did that even come about?
So youth group at the time started at middle school, so 6th grade. So once I transitioned into the 6th grade, I was actually a greeter in the youth department, but then I was like, oh, like, duh, the worship team, like, I want to sing.
Yeah.
So I joined, and I would lead songs every now and then. And then when I was probably 2008 in the 8th grade, our praise and worship leader in the youth group transitioned with our youth pastors because they went and started their own church.
Okay.
And that left me to be in charge. So they put me over the youth.
So
youth
like, did you already show signs that you would do well in charge?
I think so. My mom was a leader. She was like a section leader. She was part of the leadership team in the choir. So I think people knew that I had those capabilities. And so they were like, all right, it's up to you.
Yeah.
And I was always there. So
yes.
like I was very faithful, very reliable. So that kind of, I guess, made people choose me.
Yeah. And what made you decide to lean more towards singing than dancing?
Oh, what made me decide? It was, I don't know, I guess singing has just always been a part of me. Like, even when I was dancing, I would be in the car with my mom and my sister, and I'd be making them harmonize with me. I would get on their nerves so bad because I'd be like, okay, Tasha, you sing tenor, Mom sing alto, I'm going to sing soprano. Like, it would be a thing. It would be a whole thing. So it was always a part of my life. I think when I started singing, it kind of just took over.
I got you.
Yeah,
that makes sense. So it was more natural. It was a natural thing.
It was natural. It just was like, okay, I can sing. Now singing is taking control of my life.
Yeah.
So I kind of, I just stopped dancing. And also at the time, I think the dance ministry was kind of fizzling out at the time too.
Yes.
So it kind of just pushed me over into that. Now high school dancing came back.
Okay.
And I was doing both.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was leading worship in the youth group, and then in the 8th grade as well. I also joined the adult choir.
Okay. So you got a lot of things going on at one time.
A lot of things happening. I became, I took over the youth group, and then I became a part of the adult choir. So then I started, from 8th grade up, I started, they would have me lead songs.
Yeah.
In big church. That's what I called it. Big church.
Big church.
Leading songs, and then directing the choir. I would be teaching songs, then eventually running rehearsals and stuff. And
you're in high school.
In high school.
So like, are you like a good student too?
Yeah, man.
Okay.
You gotta be a good student. Gotta pass your classes.
Let's go.
So I was the church kid. I was the goody two shoes. I was the one that did all of the homework. I would be in church and doing my homework. I'd be at rehearsal doing my homework, sitting, right up in there. And then if I didn't do my homework and say we got home late or something and it's time for me to go to bed, my mom made sure I got up early in the morning before I got on that school bus and do that homework.
Let's go, Mom. Let's go.
Discipline.
Yes.
She taught me discipline. So that was where I learned a lot of my, leadership qualities, because you do at times as a leader have to know how to balance multiple things at once. So got to high school and I was leading in both departments, children and adult. And then I joined drama club.
Let's go.
So I was acting.
Okay, what was that like?
I had already had experience acting, because in middle school I became a part of a performing arts program, a summer program, headed by Daniel VC. Shout out to Daniel VC.
Shout out.
He taught me how to play keys also.
Let's go.
So he really wanted me to be a part of the summer program so I could join the vocal part, and I chose drama. And he was so upset. But I was like, let me just do something new, because I sing and I dance at church, so whatever. But so that's when I kind of started really getting into acting and doing all of that. So that was a fun, maybe 4 years that I did that every summer. And then when I got in high school, I learned how to play keys maybe the summer before my sophomore year in high school. And so now we kind of taking it up a notch, because now I know how to play chords, just basic chords. I don't play none of the fancy
but
stuff.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't.
But it helps me write now, because I was writing also. I was doing poetry when I was a kid, all of that. So it helped me now be able to write my songs a little better, because now I know what I want to hear, what chords I want to hear.
Absolutely.
So that was a thing. And then, getting into drama club was really cool, because we started off doing, my acting class actually wrote a musical, a mini musical on bullying. And so we partnered with this other performing arts program called Lovewell Institution for the Creative Arts. Shout out to them.
Shout out.
And we wrote this play called The Weight of Words. And it was a really interesting experience, because everybody, all of the students in my class, got a chance to be a part of something and learn how to write things. Learn that they knew how to write stuff. People that had no experience, kids that had no experience writing songs like I did, no experience writing, plays or skits or things like that. They got the chance to do that with the guidance of, these instructors. And so I was able to play a part in the music. I wrote the finale song of that number, and we performed it for our school, and we ended up taking it on a tri-county tour for my my junior and my high school year. My senior year of high school. So yeah, that's
So you went out of high school with a bang, for sure.
For sure. And people didn't even really know I could sing until I did in school, rather. They didn't know I could sing unless they went to my church. But we did Grease, the musical. It's my favorite musical, is Grease. So we did Grease, and I auditioned for the role of Rizzo. If you know Grease, you know.
Yeah.
Sandy was the main female character. And I would have auditioned for Sandy, but I didn't think they was going to cast me because I was black. But
interesting.
yeah.
Okay.
So that was a whole thing. Certain things we just kind of talk ourselves out of before we even try. Ain't that crazy?
Yes.
Ain't that crazy?
But we do it.
We do it. But I was okay with it because Rizzo had a song, she had a really big song in Grease that I loved. It's called There Are Worse Things I Could Do. Mm-hmm. And that was probably one of my favorite songs in the whole musical. So I'm if I get to sing that, I don't have to be Sandy. I'm good.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a great experience. And that was when people found out in school that I could really sing like that. And then my principal had me singing at all of the little programs, singing the national anthem at everything, all the honor roll ceremonies, principals meetings, I'm getting up at the crack of dawn so I could get to school at 7 a.m. to sing the national anthem at a principal's meeting, a principal's breakfast. Like,
oh, that's crazy.
So it was a lot of like all of my talents and all of my worlds kind of colliding.
Yeah.
On a consistent basis, definitely in high school.
Yeah, and like of course, I'm from North Carolina, where I'm from a small town where all that ain't happening in school.
Right.
Like in my school, none of that was happening. So like to hear everything you did in high school, I'm like, what in the world? It sounds more like a movie to me.
Yeah.
It's like movie high school.
For sure. It was, yeah, Nova High definitely gave movie. Definitely gave a little like reality TV a little bit. It was giving movie. Yeah, it was a lot. Like and even talking about it now, it makes me like think back like, wow, I was doing a lot in high school. Like I would literally, when we started Grease rehearsals, like now, Nova High was different. Like most high schools, they start at like 7 something, get out at like 2 or 3. Like our school started at 9:25.
Oh, so you could sleep a little bit.
Yeah, but we were basically working a 9 to 5 because we got out at 4:25.
Oh yeah, that's gotta. Oh man, so yeah.
So we were in school all day. So I would literally go, school all day. And then if we got drama rehearsal, then I'm staying after, till maybe what? I don't know. Sometimes I would literally just stay after for like an hour and a half, and then my mom come get me and we go to church that night.
Whoa. So your days were full sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes it was definitely like that. And even if I didn't have rehearsal, if I'm taking the school bus home, I'm getting home at like 5:30. So I got like an hour, maybe 45 minutes to kind of like get myself together by the time my mama get home and we go to like choir rehearsal or we go to church midweek service. So yeah, I was doing a lot.
Did it ever become overwhelming?
No, I don't think so because I loved going to church. Yeah. So it was like, I didn't care. I would go to church whenever they had something. If I could just go and sit at church all day, I would. And do nothing. Yeah. That's how much of a church baby I was and still am. Because like, I still go to the church and I just sit there. But like, so it was definitely, I like challenges. I like good challenges. So if it was a challenge of a balancing act, like, that was fun to me.
Yeah.
Like, I get to go to school. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I got
so you were interested in figuring out how to make it all work.
For sure.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I was weird. I was a nerd.
Like, were you aware that you were a nerd?
Yes. Yes, because people would like call me a nerd. Like people would, and because I was smart. Yeah. So like that whole thing, that was kind of like a part of the bullying that I kind of experienced. Like people would,
because you're doing like, to other people, you do everything good. You do everything right. Like,
right. I'm just the perfect Patty, perfect Ponderosa. Yeah. I do all my work. The teachers love me. Yeah. In elementary school, I'm like, I'm one of my like my 3rd and 4th grade teacher, I had the same teacher. So like I would literally be like a leader. I would be like her right hand man. Sometimes like she doing stuff and the class is supposed to be working on something. She'll have me sit in front of the class and write people's names down that was talking.
So they did not like you?
No, no, it was a lot of people that didn't like me.
Because it's like you side eye that kid.
For sure. Because
it's like, bro, you ratting on us.
And I'm a nice person. I'm very friendly. So like I knew how to be friends with people, but having that type of responsibility as a kid, of course, makes other kids look at you like, oh, you just think you all that. You think you so good. Da, 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 da.
So did people say stuff like that to you?
Yeah.
When did that start?
For sure. Maybe like 3rd or 4th grade. So like the thing is, I went to like a private school, like a Christian academy for pre-K and kindergarten. Right? Okay. So for those years, I did that. When I got into Nova High School, I got accepted there. I went and they put me in kindergarten because of my age, naturally. And my mom was like, she already has done this. She knows how to read. She knows she's not like a regular, kindergartner. Yeah. So they made me sit through a test of like, they made me do a reading test and they made me do a test where I like had to sit still for like 10 minutes or something if I could. And my mom was like, She do that in church every week.
Yeah.
So it kind of already had started there when I passed those tests, they bumped me up to the first grade. And so I'm the youngest in my class. I'm the youngest in my class. I'm smart. I
have multiple gifts and talents.
I'm a leader. The teachers is calling on me to do stuff.
Yeah.
It's like a whole thing. So that started definitely like elementary school.
What was your response to those types of comments?
My mom was really the one that helped me with responding to those comments. And this how you know we from the ghetto. Because so there was this I had a pair of shoes, right, that were like pink plaid situation. They had like all kinds of colors in them, right?
Yeah.
I rode the school bus, so it was all grades on the school bus. High school, middle school, whatever. Everybody that went to the Nova schools and the surrounding schools, we on that bus in my neighborhood. So I get on the bus at one day, and I have these shoes on, and this older high school student is picking on my shoes, right? And so now she's calling me Rainbow. And so I'm like ignoring the girl because like I don't even know her, first of all. Yeah. Right? I don't know her, and she's way older than me. She's in high school. So it's like, I mean, what am I going to say, right? So I tell my mom, because after a while, it just keeps going on. She keeps calling me Rainbow, and I'm like sick of it. So I tell my mom, like, yeah, it's a kid on the bus. She called me Rainbow, da-da-da-da. And my mom was like, the next time she says that to you, you say, that is not my name. My name is Jalisa. And I'm like, okay. So I'm like 5, right? 4 or 5 years old.
Yeah.
So next day, I get on the bus. I'm ready.
You ready?
Because
your mama told you what to say?
She done empowered me.
Yeah,
so I'm ready, right?
Yeah.
I get on the bus, and I hear it. She say, hey, Rainbow, da-da-da-da. I turn around, and I'm like, that is not my name. And she's like, oh, excuse me. Did not mess with me after that, right?
Yeah.
So then I get to middle school.
Okay.
We fast forward. We're in middle school now. And I'm a nerd. I like to read.
Yeah.
I got a book with me everywhere I go. In every class, when I'm done with my work, I open my book and I read my book.
Yeah.
I'm in science class, right? And in science class, we have different tables. It's 4 students at a table. So I'm the only girl at the table. Right? And so, and I'm going to have to call their name because the story not going to make sense. So if you watch this, just know that it was my mama's fault. And it's really your fault because you shouldn't have picked on me. So I'm sitting at the table and I'm reading my book. And this boy that's sitting next to me is like, why do you always have to read a book? Like, why are you so much of a nerd? Like, all this stuff, like saying all this stuff about me reading. And I'm like, I just enjoy reading.
Yes.
And so I'm like, I'm trying to ignore him. And like I said, I'm the only girl.
Yeah.
And because I've skipped a grade back in elementary school, I'm the youngest in my class.
Yes.
Okay. So here I am at this table, and I go home, and I tell my mom, I'm like, yeah, it's this boy. He just be getting on my nerves. Like, I'm not even telling my mama so she could give me a defense mechanism. I'm just talking about it, right? So I'm like, yeah, he picking on me reading, da-da-da-da. She like, he's saying all this. She said, what is his name? And I said, his name is Oni.
Okay.
I said, his name is Oni. She said, Oni?
He picking on you reading. His name is Oni?
Exactly what she said. She said, he got another pick on you, and his name is Oni? Like macaroni and cheese? Who does he think he is? The one and only? Baloney? Like, she started roasting this man like crazy. She said, oh, you already know what you got to say the next time you see him. So, Mom, I go to school the next day.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I'm ready to finish my work so I could whip my book out so he could say something.
Yeah, because you got the roast.
Because I got it now. I'm ready. Don't come for me.
Yeah.
So I take my book out. I'm reading. He say something. Ready to say something. And I said, you picking on me. But what about you? Who you think you are? The one that Oni? I was like, yeah, macaroni and cheese. Baloney, Oscar Mayer, baloney. And you got the nerve to pick on me? Because I like to be smart.
Oh,
I was carrying on, boy. I said every only thing that I could say that day.
And what was his response?
Oh, he went mute. And the two boys that's sitting across from us at this table are giggling.
Oh, so he embarrassed.
So even more embarrassing. So, yeah, that was it. He ain't never talked about me reading no more after that.
But you want to know what's crazy? Like, in life, people will test you just to see if they can get away with it. And it's like, in both of those situations, as soon as you spoke up for yourself, people were quiet.
For sure.
Did that happen any other time in your life?
Yes.
Let's go. Give me another one. Give me another one. Give me another one.
So if we're talking about music, right?
Yeah.
I'm a woman.
Yes.
In music.
Yes.
Predominantly male.
Yes.
Industry. And so because of that, guys feel like, as women, we don't know as much as they do.
Yeah.
Musicians, producers.
Yeah.
Artists, whatever. And understandable because I won't say most women, but a lot of women don't know much as the average man in the music industry. But there are some of us that actually do know what we're talking about.
Like
right?
you.
So
you are one of them for sure.
So I have experienced where like guys will kind of be a little smart with me. Musicians will kind of try to be smart or try to play me because they think I don't know what I'm talking about. And so I have perfect pitch. Okay. That is, and I don't ever like tell people.
Like you don't flex that.
I'm only telling y'all this because it's a part of the story. I would never tell anybody just outright. Yeah. So I have perfect pitch and which is also coupled with like synesthesia. And we'll talk about that.
That's when you see colors?
Yep. Music, color, synesthesia.
All right, go ahead.
So like I have perfect pitch. And so there would be times where I would be out and I'll tell the keyboard player to go to a certain key and they don't go. And I'm like, that's not it. And they try to tell me like, no, that's it. I was with James Fortune somewhere. And we were about to do I Believe. Right? About to do that song. That's in E flat.
Yeah.
And so James will always set it up by telling the keyboard player to go to E flat, right? Put me in E flat, cool. The keyboard player is in E. Now, this is not our normal band. We got the house band. Okay? So he's like, put me in E flat. The keyboard player's in E. And I'm like, that's not E. That's not E flat. That's E, right? So I turn around and I look at the keyboard player and I'm like, E flat, E flat. And he's like, yeah, this is E flat. This is E flat. And I'm like, and so I try to like let some time pass because James is talking. He's setting up the song. But I know he's going to pass it to Cardell, who is the tenor, because he going to sing the verse.
Yeah.
And it's higher.
Yes.
So I'm like, okay, let me see if I could convince him again that this is not E flat. I look back and I'm like, E flat? You sure it's E flat? And he's like, it's E flat. It's E flat. Like, almost kind of getting a little
spicy.
Like, girl, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't play keys, that type of thing. And so then Cardell gets past the mic. He sings. And after he sings the first verse, he turns around and he's like, this is high. I said, yeah, I know. This isn't the right key.
Oh.
And I look at the keyboard player and then he's like, oh, it's this E, you my bad, this E. I said, I know, now put us in the right key while he talking so we can get it together. And I'm like, yeah, like that stuff, I think people underestimate, because I'm like, if I'm turning around, if I'm a singer, turning around asking you, is this E flat? That's not a normal situation. Yeah. So you should probably check your keyboard. If it's on transpose or whatever the case may be.
Get it together.
Fix it.
Put it in E flat.
Put it in E flat. So that whole thing. I went to another church one time. I was doing like worship. Yeah. I was doing a special song and like a worship song. So I was doing sound check with them and I had sent them like the song that I wanted to do, and I told them that I wanted to do it in a different key, but I don't think the different key got translated to them. So when I got there in the sound check, I'm like, is there any way? And before I could even finish my question, the organist was like, nope, like being funny.
Like, we not changing the key. I know that's what you're about to ask.
Yeah, like that. And I was like, okay, is there any way that
you continue to ask your question?
that we can do this in C instead of A flat? And so they're just kind of like, he looking around or whatever, because I don't even think he was in charge at the time. So that was also what kind of like aggravated me, because I'm like, first of all, it's 6 a.m. Don't. Don't.
Yeah.
And we inside and you got shades on. Why? Don't do that. And I'm polite. Like, I'm very polite. So I'm like, you don't even know me.
Yeah.
So I asked, and they were like, they were looking around, and he was like, we could try it or whatever. I said, yeah, the song is only like 4 chords, so it shouldn't be that hard.
Because they trying you at this point.
Because y'all trying me. Stop trying me. And I don't understand why people do that, because it's like certain moments like that, like that's something that I never forgot. And that was 5 years ago.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? 4 years ago. So I'm like, you have to understand that when people are coming into your space and you're supposed to be working with them, you should have a good attitude. Don't try to be smart. Don't try to be funny, because you never know when the table's going to turn. You don't know who that person is, and you don't know who that person going to be. So, like, you gotta tighten up. Man. And I just found out that person was somebody that I have done, like, a gig with another artist, like, years later. And I didn't even know that was the same person. I didn't even know it was the same person when I did the gig.
How did you find out it was the same person?
I was having a conversation with one of my friends who knows the person. And I was describing the situation, and I said, da-da-da-da, and he said the person's name, and I was like...
And you were at home? Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Oh, no, when that situation happened... No, I was out of town.
Okay, mm-hmm. That's better.
Yeah, I was out of town.
That's better. So, moving through high school, let's go back to high school.
Yep.
Once you graduated 12th grade,
mm-hmm.
like, what was going on in your life personally and musically at the time?
Graduated high school, personally, I was about to start college.
Yeah.
I wasn't going away to college.
Were you cool with that?
Yeah, because I don't think I wanted to leave. It was, I was I wasn't sheltered, but I loved home.
Yeah.
I loved home. So, like, moving away, going away to college, going to college already was a thing, because it's like, I'm really going for music anyway.
Yeah.
And that's something that I know inside and out almost.
Yes.
So, I was fine with not going away. I went to Nova Southeastern University, which was literally right across the street from my high school.
Interesting.
So, like, I was my freshman year, like, I was doing my college classes, and then sometimes I would go and tutor or be a teacher's assistant at my high school. Go back and help the acting kids, because they carried on our musical after we graduated.
Yeah, so, that's dope.
I would do that. Musically, I was writing, but I wasn't, like, moving towards releasing anything at the time. I didn't really have a producer per se.
Okay.
But then moving into a little closer into my freshman year of college, me and Mickey Platt Jr. connected. Shout out to Mickey Platt.
Okay, Jr., yeah, shout out.
Mickey's Music. And so we kind of connected, and we started just working. Like, we just started doing stuff. Like, even when I had to, like, sing and do praise and worship at certain places, like, I would call him, I would call my guys and, my friends, and they would sing and play for me. And then we started, he would send me tracks and stuff. He sent me a track, and he was like, oh, you should write to this. So I wrote to it, and we literally, like, recorded it in, like, an hour. Wow. And that was all I need. That was all I need.
Yeah.
And then we started working on an EP after that. I just was writing stuff, and because I knew how to play, I would be in college, and I didn't have a car, so I would literally have, like, 3 classes in the morning to the afternoon, and then I would just sit at school until my mom came and picked me up when she got to work.
Yeah.
So I would be at school, and I would go into like one of the practice rooms with a piano, and I would just sit and I would just, write. I would write. I would sit and record myself on my phone and play little things and just, write songs. And so I would send them to him. I'd be like, hey, I got this idea. Boom, boom, boom. He'd be like, oh my God, this is dope.
Yeah.
And then it turned into, a song. We just turned it into an EP. And then that was kind of like the start of me really like, being an artist for real, in South Florida.
So was that a thought in your mind, like, okay, I want to be an artist? For
sure. I did want to do, like I had this vision book in 2012. This was the year that I graduated high school, 2012. And that year, we had a leadership conference at my church, and Jalisa Faye came and preached, and she kind of was the start of like the whole vision board. This was before vision boards were even a thing.
Okay.
So she had a book where you could write down like 25 things you want to do in the next 5 years.
Oh, interesting.
25 places you want to go in the next 5 years. 25 people you want to meet or whatever, right? And so in the list of things that I wanted to do, I had, I want to release an EP, an album, a project, something of some sort. I wanted to do a concert with my own band and do all original songs. I wanted to do professional background vocalists for gospel artists. I wrote all of that, like with pay.
You put with pay on your paper?
I wanted to get paid.
Facts.
I wanted to get paid.
Yes. There's nothing wrong with that.
Specific.
Yes.
So I had that, and so she had the things where you could write it down in a list, and then she had individual pages for each thing that you said you wanted to do in the next 5 years. So like the first page would be, okay, I want to release a single EP album. Write the date that I wrote that on that page, and then at the top half you would put pictures, like a vision board. Put pictures of that thing, right? So I would put pictures of like Amazon, iTunes, da-da-da-da. Wow. And then the bottom half was reserved for when you actually accomplished it, and you would write the date that you accomplished it, right? Yeah. So 2012 was when that happened. I wrote all of that. Had different pictures. When I want to professionally sing background for gospel artists, I had pictures of Travis Green. I had pictures of Ty. I had pictures of Mary. Like I had all of that. I just got
chills, bro.
No, for real. I'm going to find it. It's at home, and I'm going to find it and take a picture so I could post it. But it was real life. It was real life. I wanted to sit down and have lunch with like my artist, like the artist that I admired the most. I had a picture of Kiki on there, Mary, like all of that. Like I had all of these things in this book. And so like I had the vision. Like I knew I wanted to be an artist. I knew I wanted to be a background vocalist. I knew I wanted to do all of these things. How it was going to happen, it was just going to happen. Yeah. And I would just start working. Instagram kind of became a thing probably in 2012-ish. Yep. Became very popular. So I was like, just using social media and doing things in South Florida really like, helped out as well. I was a worship leader at one of the really known churches down there. So it was cool. But yeah, like experiencing all of those things, and I would say maybe most of those things, if not maybe like 55 to 60% of those things happened within those 5 years. By 2017, I was writing that I wanted to be a professional background vocalist in 2012. I started in 2015 with Travis Green.
That's what's crazy. Mm-hmm. I'm very aware. Mm-hmm. So it's crazy. So after you do the EP, what comes next?
So after I did the EP was done in 2014.
Okay.
I already knew Travis. I met Travis in 2011.
Okay.
He came to our church, my first lady. Shout out to the late Apostle Yvette Brinson. Love her.
Shout out.
All of my heart. She used to do fashion shows at the church every year. Like she did stuff big.
Yeah.
Like, she didn't like, the small half done stuff. So like she was a designer. She designed clothes. And so she would have a fashion show every year. And this particular fashion show was at a venue that was not the church. And so they brought Travis Green down. and he was like the guest for the fashion show that Saturday and then praise and worship with us that Sunday. And so at the fashion show, I was with my friend Stesha. Shout out to Stesha.
Yeah.
We were there, and like as soon as he came out on the runway, like me and her are the only two standing up and like singing every single word for a word, okay? Singing his songs. And everybody else is like looking at the models and stuff. I didn't care nothing about no models, no clothes, no nothing. I was a Travis Green super fan, okay? So like I was there doing that, and so I didn't get to meet him that day. So the Sunday, the next day, he came. We had 2 services, and he came to the second one. So before the second one, they were going over stuff that he wanted to do, and they called me because I wasn't in the church at the time when they was going over it. So I went in there, and he was like, "Jalisa," and I was like, "You know my name. This is insane." Somebody told him my name because he was asking who was that girl that was like singing every word at this fashion show.
Yeah.
So like it was a cool thing, and that was our connection. Like from then on, like, you know, we exchanged numbers, and he was like family. He was literally family. He came to our church maybe once or twice a year for a few years, and 2015 came. So EP drops 2014.
Yeah.
2015 comes around, and my church did a men's conference. I'm not there because it's a men's conference. So, but Travis came, and they had him as a special guest. So I went by the church after one of the services one night just to say, hey.
Yeah.
You know, so he's there with his manager, Kobe. And I went and I said, hey, and we talking, cool, whatever, hi, so glad to see you, da da da. I leave maybe a month or so after that. That's May 2015. Definitely had to be a few weeks. So like June 2015. He calls me and he's like, hey, I'm about to go on the road and I want you to sing with me. So like, do you want to do it? And I'm like, duh.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah.
So that is how that happened. And so the first time I had ever been on a plane. First time I had ever traveled past Georgia.
Okay.
Was with Travis Green. I went to Dallas, Texas. We did worship at the Potter's house. TD Jake's church.
So that was the first one?
The first one. The first time. And so for that to be like the first time, like I'm standing in a church that I've watched on TV.
Yes.
You know, something that is almost like unimaginable when you are younger. Like you don't imagine, you don't see yourself there. Like, yeah, I see myself doing great things, but do I see my first time, you know, being here? No. But it was incredible experience. The day before, and it was 4th of July weekend too. So like first time out on a holiday.
Yeah, you turned like
I'm grown.
How old were you, by the way?
I was in 2015, I was 20. Whoa. 20 years old. Yep.
Yo, that's crazy. How many dates did you do with Travis after that? Like, did you sing with him for a while?
I sang with Travis for a year and a half.
Let's go.
A year and a half. And we had done so much stuff. Like, it was so many firsts. My first time traveling outside the country.
Yeah.
Went to London for New Year's.
That's crazy.
Like, so that was like good fun. And the thing about Travis, like, he gave me my first road family. Like, we were literally a family. It was literally like, we didn't just go on the road and just like, you know, everybody go their separate places. Like we go out to eat together.
Yeah.
After the show, we all in somebody's room playing games, having fun.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it was a good time. Like we'll be when we were in London, like we had off days. So we were like walking the streets of London, going shopping, stuff like that. It was a really great time. Like it showed me how much I could connect with like other people that were not in Florida.
Yeah.
You know, I met so many people, even like, well, Daryl kind of don't count, Daryl Walls, but like because I was traveling with Travis, we were on a lot of dates, like, you know, as the Walls group. So we would be in the same places. And so like me and Daryl's like kind of siblingship kind of even got even more solidified there because we saw each other so much.
Yeah.
So I met James Fortune on the road with Travis. We did Essence Fest.
Okay.
Yeah, we did like the gospel stages at Essence Fest, and I met James then. But he already knew who I was from like social media and stuff, like singing with Trav.
So what were you doing on social media at the time where people were able to see you?
I was posting everything.
Okay.
Like everything that we did, like I would post clips of shows. I would be, seeing people tag, go screen record, go and finding people's lives and stuff. Like, and I would just post. And it was really just to like, I feel like things that touch me will touch other people. So it's like, if this was good to me, I know it'll be good to y'all. So like, it was really more of that. And I would do a lot of that. I posted everything, literally, like keeping people up to date on like my travels. Like, we going here, we going there. We would do, before Travis's album The Hill came out in October 2015, we were doing like promo things that whole week. So doing like a BMI listening party.
Yeah.
And Periscope was a thing at the time too. So like I'm on Periscope during the thing. So like people can see, all of these things we're singing with just a piano and like a little bongo thing.
Yeah.
Like that stuff. Like just constantly posting and constantly like, putting myself out there, I guess. People are very afraid to do that.
Let's talk about that for a second. Where did the fearlessness come from for you to do that?
I think the fearlessness really came from being a leader at such a young age, because like in high school and even like in middle school, being over people, you have to kind of like overcome the fear of, oh, what are people going to think about me? Oh, what are people going to say? Da, 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 da. And because, again, I'm a high school student and I'm teaching songs to people that are in their 30s, 40s, 50s even. Yeah. And so people are like, oh, who this little girl like? Da, 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 da. And I have to learn how to be assertive, and I can't be scared.
Yes, or intimidated because you're young and they're old.
Yep. Yeah.
So you grab that and you're like, hey, I'm out here on the road and I want people to know that I do this.
Yeah.
Because in your mind already, you know what you wrote down.
Yes.
So you're maximizing the opportunity at every place that you can.
Yes, for sure.
Which is super smart.
For sure. And it was so many things like that I was posting that was even just like testimonies. Because I even wrote in my thing like I wanted to be like a guest performer or a guest judge on Sunday Best, right? A guest performer. Sunday Best did a all-star season, right? We performed with Travis on the Sunday Best all-star finale. And that was in 2015, 3 years after I wrote it in my thing. And so like, all this time I'm even getting closer to Ty, because like now Ty, we doing a lot of shows with Ty. We doing shows with all like everybody. Everybody. Around that time when I started traveling, we were doing shows with people that I listened to every day as a kid. Yes. Ty Tribbett, Erica Campbell, Jonathan McReynolds, all of these people that I listened to, and now I'm meeting them. Yeah. And like they're like starting to know who I am.
Yes.
Just from being with Travis. And so it was really like a lot of the things that I was posting was just like, look what the Lord did, because like I could not plan this.
Yes.
All I could do was really work. And that's what I was doing. Travis found me working. Travis found me serving at my church, leading worship. And he'll tell the story of like him coming and seeing me lead, and I'm doing some like up-tempo song, and he is like crying while I'm leading, because it's just like, wow, like this is crazy. This little girl is doing this.
So I want to talk about that for a minute, because that has a lot to do with who you are.
For sure.
Like, you started in a church that you've been in up until recently.
Yes.
Why continue to serve there for so long?
I started, like, my BGV career started because I was there. Had I not been there, there's a huge possibility that I would not have been found. So, like, I always, people would always be like, oh my God, girl, because I would literally be on the road, and if we got back in time, I'm going to church. If I'm coming back on a Sunday morning, I'm hoping that my flight lands before 10. Because as soon as I touch down, I'm going to the airport garage, getting in my car, and I'm driving to church. Like I got my makeup on, I got my church clothes on, I got all that. I'm going to church and I'm gonna sing.
Yeah.
So because I feel like, you know, if that's where I got the opportunity, I can't forget that place because I have the opportunity now. Because I didn't start off with me wanting to be famous or wanting to be an artist or wanting to be a professional background vocalist first. I wanted to serve. I wanted to be at church.
And the place that you were planted is where all of the opportunities came from that you believed God for.
Yeah. Because literally it all started with Trav. It started with Trav. Once I got with Trav, everything else came after that. Even before then, Jonathan Nelson, when he was in Florida, when he was the minister of music at the Faith Center, we were they would do like Impact Night every year with the youth and the young adults.
Yeah.
And they would have Ty come and preach and sing, you know, at these Impact Nights. And so they would open up their youth choir for anybody that wanted to join and sing. So I'm like, yeah, I'm going to join if I get to sing with Ty. So I did that in 2010. Mm-hmm. And then 2011 came and I couldn't make the rehearsals. So I was like, okay, it's fine. I'll still go. I just won't sing. So me and my best friend, Tiffany, my best friend from high school, we went, and he came out and he was singing. He called all the kids up to the stage, right? Like to the front of the stage. So I'm down there, cool, woo, 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 we having fun, whatever. He looks around at the youth choir director and he's like, oh, I need a soprano. He tells the band to go to E. And I'm like, clearly he's about to do Victory, right? So I'm like, he's talking about he needs a soprano. I'm like, well, what he about to do? He about to set it up. This about to be crazy. So they pull a soprano and I'm right at the front of the stage. I'm at the foot of the steps so I can see everything. So I'm reading his lips and he's like asking the girl like, okay, do you know, tell me who can stand before us when we, right? And she shakes her head, no. And I'm like, I know that. You don't know that song, girl? Oh my God. Like, come on. Like, you know, so I'm just chilling. And then he says in the mic, because Ty is just like that. Like, he just going to ask, who out there know this song? So he's like, any sopranos out there? And so my friends are pushing me. Like, girl, go. I'm like, first of all, I'm not a soprano. So we're not even going to embarrass me like that. I'm not a soprano. So I'm like, no, I'm not a soprano. He asked for a soprano, and I'm not going to just go up there just because I know the song. This not my church. I'm not going to do that.
Wow. Right? Yeah.
So I'm chilling. And then the youth, one of my friends in the youth choir sees me.
Oh, you threw.
And he grabs the youth choir director, and he's like, Eddie, shout out to Eddie and Derek. Okay. He's like, Eddie, Jalisa. Eddie sees me, grabs Ty, and drags him over to me and is like, Ty, her. So I'm like,
yeah,
mighty God. So he pulls me up on stage and I am like, everything is moving in slow motion at this point. I'm like, is this real?
Yeah.
So I get up there and he's like, do you know, tell me? And I'm like, yeah, I know it. Okay, sure. So he's like, all right, cool. He tells the band to go to the floor. And at this point, I know I have to start singing. So I start singing and it's like, everybody's just like screaming, going crazy. He hit me with the rag, everything, right? It's a crazy situation. And so I get, we have the victory. So I'm like, okay, cool, right?
Yeah.
Monumental moment.
Yeah.
At the time was the best thing that had ever happened to me.
Yes.
If I had never done anything else after that, I would have been fine.
You would have been okay.
I would have been good. I wouldn't even had to be a professional background vocalist after that. Because I'm like,
yeah, that's a highlight.
Ty just put me up on stage and was hitting me with his rag. Guys, come on. Yeah. So after that, after we get through a victory, we go backstage and Jonathan Nelson comes up to me and he's like, why are you not a part of our music ministry? And I'm like, I don't go here. Like, I go to Redeemer Word, I sing there. And he's like, okay, we're going to pray about that. So like that kind of started that whole connection with Jonathan. And then that was 2011, right?
Yeah.
2011. So now, years later, 2015, I started singing with Travis. Travis does the Hill album release in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Yeah.
And Jonathan is there, and we kind of like connect again there.
Yeah.
And it was just a really cool thing. It was a great time. I start singing with Jonathan. He starts doing the Blaze back home in Fort Lauderdale. So bi-monthly, we would have like these gatherings where he would like, we would do worship and he would give a word. And it was for like those servant leaders, like those worship leaders, those music, people in the music ministry. It was really geared towards those people. And so he would have me, you know, sometimes when he couldn't do rehearsals, I would run rehearsals for him. I would lead stuff and all of that. And then in March 2016, I started traveling. I went and did my first date with Jonathan Nelson in Detroit. Detroit.
That's crazy. What was that like?
It was a lot of fun. I had done a show with him prior to, but it was in Miami.
Yeah, so that's home.
That's home. So they asked me to do a show with him or a date with him literally the next month. And so I did Detroit, and it was really cool because it was at Triumph Church and they had multiple services. So we were like, I think we did 3 services that Sunday, 1 service the Saturday before. And I met Gene Hoskins, amazing artist. And Nasia Barnes, I met them.
Yeah.
And it was so, like, that was another family that I got from that. So, you know, that kind of like started taking off me and traveling with Jonathan. And I'm like, you know, I do whatever I can. That's what I do. So like as a leader, a natural leader, like it's just my nature to kind of like, if I'm traveling with an artist, I need to know all the songs. I need to know all the parts, the format, stuff like that. So that like, just in case something ain't right, I could be like, oh no, it's this.
Oh, Interesting.
But that's just always been me. Even when I was dancing, right? When I was 4 and 5, Charnel Jackson, shout out to her.
Yeah.
She was over the dance department at the time. And like, she literally would have me at 4, 5 years old doing the Christmas program dancing, and I'm like in front of the toddlers, like guiding the toddlers on their dances. So like, and I'm running rehearsals, I'm doing warm-ups with them, I'm like all this stuff. So, you know, that was just my nature.
Yeah.
And so when I get with somebody like Jonathan, like, you know, somebody whose songs are not like Twinkle Twinkle Little Star.
They are definitely not.
You know what I'm saying? So like, it's just like, I am a format girl. I'm going to remember everything.
Yeah.
So like, I'm giving signals, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. So now it's to the point where like, okay, if anybody new is coming on with us, like he'll tell them like, hey, if you ever get lost in the format, look at Jalisa.
That's
she
crazy.
is never gonna let you fail. She's not gonna let you fall. Like, you know,
That's
but
crazy.
My objective in all of that is really just to help. I love to help.
Absolutely.
And that's my motto. I always tell people like, I'm just here to help. That's it. So like, you know, that's where really all of that comes from. And that's really what leadership is all about. It's
Absolutely
really about helping. It's not about being in charge of people. And I think that's where like we get messed up sometimes because we just want to be in charge of people, but we're not really trying to help.
Yes. We want the authority of a leader without actually helping people that are following us.
Yeah, the real responsibility of it is helping people.
Oh, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't hold your mule, don't give it to somebody that don't deserve it. Nah,
please don't.
You know he out here sleeping with everybody.
Don't do it.
And you gonna do it because it feel good. Why? Because he got a big thing or something. That ain't. You know how many men folk around here? Never mind. I'm just saying, there's plenty of fishies in the sea.
If you enjoyed this clip of Be For Real, you can watch the full video. Just head over to RXS Entertainment YouTube channel. You can also listen on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Just type in BEFUHREAL.
So you with Jonathan.
Yep.
You meet James before that.
I met James after that.
Okay, so when you're with Jonathan, did you do the album with him during that time of singing with him? Or that you did that later?
Okay, let me get my timelines right.
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, so I met James in 2016.
Okay.
I started doing the Blaze with Jonathan in I think that was 2016.
Okay.
So I already knew Jonathan.
Okay.
And then I started traveling with him the following year, 2017.
Okay.
What was the question? What you asked me?
The question was about Jonathan's album, because I know you did.
Okay.
I know you were on Jonathan's album.
There we go.
And I know you were on James's. So take me through how all of that happened.
Okay. So 2017, I started traveling with Jonathan. 2017 in like May-ish, James hit me up on Instagram.
Okay.
And he was like, hey, I'm about to drop my next album, Dear Future Me. I want you to sing with me at the album release, whatever, right? And he's like, I want you to sing background and I want you to lead You Rescued Me, which features Tasha Cobbs on the song.
Right.
So I'm like, you want me to sing a song that Tasha done sang? Jesus. So I'm like, okay, cool. So I did that. It was a whole weekend that we did with him, and it was kind of like a rearrangement of the actual song on the record where we went church, and that's kind of where that whole You Rescued Me churchy version happened. And that was just the album release of Dear Future Me, right? And so Jonathan recorded the Declarations album in September or August-ish of 2017. So we did that live recording in 2017 towards the end. And that was a good time. It was super interesting because like they were sending out, demos of the songs and stuff at the time, because what it was the live recording, and then it was also the Purpose reunion, which also was a live recording in itself. So like that was all happening in the same night. So we did Declarations, but that week, I think I missed the first day of rehearsal because I was coming from doing a video shoot of Favor of God with James.
Yeah.
So I'm in Atlanta doing that, and then I go to Baltimore the next day for the rest of the week.
Yeah.
And Jonathan is like, okay, cool. We start going over stuff, and like I've been studying the stuff.
Yeah.
Right? So like I think it was Jade, his niece, Jade was like, oh, you good, like, your part. And Jonathan was like, I know I ain't have to worry about her. Like, she gonna know her stuff. If anybody gonna know her stuff, it's her.
Yeah.
And then he's like, yeah, so, okay, this the song that you gonna lead on. You featuring on that song. We all found out that we were featuring on the songs that week.
Whoa.
So the blood.
Yeah.
Yeah, I found out that week.
That's crazy. So you're like, all right.
When I got there. So I'm like, okay, more studying. Got to figure out, okay, let me write down my ad-libs, like all of that. So that was, in 2017, we did the Declarations live recording. We finished it off in 2016 when he came to Florida and recorded, he was in Florida. We recorded at the Faith Center. We did the Our God medley at the Faith Center. We did Redeemed at the Faith Center. We did Jesus, I Love You at the Faith Center, and we also did I Agree again. So that was like a 2-part situation in 2017 to 18. Right? And so then we had what was this last album? It wasn't Dear Future Me. It was Dream Again. Okay.
Yeah.
Whew. So Dream Again, James drops Dream Again, and I'm singing with him all throughout this time, him and Jonathan. I'm traveling with them, all of that, right? Dream Again drops, and we have the album release concert at Rock City.
Yes.
Rock City, Birmingham, Alabama.
Yes.
Shout out to Pastor Mike Jr.
Yeah.
So we do the album release, and this is literally just supposed to be an album release concert, right? So I did. Me and Mignon did I Am. I did You Rescued Me.
But we can't just skip it like that.
Yeah.
But you can go ahead and tell the story though.
So the Dream
we have
Again,
to go back to
the Dream Again studio record, right?
Yeah.
I'm not featured on the studio record.
Right.
So the album release,
it's supposed to just be a concert.
Release. Yes. Yeah. We just singing the parts that we've been given, and that's that, right? So I Am. Usually when I was on the road with him, I would sing it anyway. Me and Mignon would go back and forth, and we would sing it. Shout out to Mignon. Love you, Mignon.
Yo, listen. Do you know how many times I listen? Yo, I listen to that so much, bro. If it would have been a CD,
it would have been scratched. It would have been scratched. It would be like, yo, what?
For real, bro. Yo, so
it was just an album.
But they recorded it?
They recorded it. Found out they recorded it. And it was like, oh.
So was it like one of them, we just gonna record it just to have it?
I think so, yeah. It wasn't like, oh, this is supposed to be a lot. No, it was not. It was not like
that's crazy.
Purpose. It wasn't purposed to be a live recording.
So then y'all were just like, who decided like, yo, we need to release this?
Probably James. It was just like when we found out. It was
too magical to not release it.
Yeah, though. When he told me, I was like, when he told us, we was like, oh, okay, it's about to be a record.
Yeah.
And
so that's another feature that wasn't, it was just when I sing on the road, I sing this part. And then it turns into an album release that turns into a live recording that turns into another feature.
Another feature on 2 songs.
Crazy.
Yep. I Am and You Rescued Me. And that dropped. So that concert was in like 2019?
Yeah.
And it dropped in 2020. Dream Again Live dropped in 2020 because it was during COVID.
Yes.
So yeah, like it became a thing. And even during COVID, we did the Stellars.
Yeah.
When the Stellars was virtual and we did the music video, and that was like a whole nother like cool version. We recorded our vocals and like, doing the music video for the Stellars was crazy because my last time, first time being on the Stellars was with Travis.
Yeah.
In 2016.
Yeah.
Which was amazing. And then, for the second time around to be during COVID, which is crazy, but virtual on BET.
Crazy.
So like, yeah, it was a very interesting time. Yeah. And so we did that. We did that live recording, that feature. And
that's insane. 'Cause
it was a thing.
As all of this is happening, like I'm at the crib cheering so hard. I'm like, she deserves all of this. Man. Playing everything on repeat.
Yeah.
Because I'm just proud.
I appreciate that.
So I want to talk about Ty. Mm-hmm. Where was that?
Okay.
In the timeline.
Whew. So little bits and pieces in the timeline, right?
Okay.
So we talked about 2011 when he put me up on stage.
Yes.
Right? Cool. So then 2015, I started traveling with Travis, and he kind of is starting to recognize me, and he knows who I am. When we did Celebration of Gospel, very last Celebration of Gospel, by the way, I was so glad that I was able to perform with Travis. Because Celebration of Gospel was a thing, and I wish they would bring it back.
Yes.
But we did that, and Ty was a part of Travis's performance. He did Intentional with Jonathan McReynolds, Chrisette Michelle, and Ty.
Yeah.
And so there was a moment where me and Laura, shout out to Laura, she was singing background with Travis as well with me. And we were like at the hotel that everybody was staying at, and we were like at the restaurant, just like waiting on food. And Ty and Kelvin were down there. Ty and his manager, they were down there, and like he was talking about like how he felt about the performance after we had rehearsed and stuff like that. And so like we were just talking, and it was so cool. Like, oh my God, I'm sitting here talking to a legend, like, and he's like mad cool, like. Yeah. So that was a thing. That was in 2016. Then 2017 rolls around. And the Faith Center in Fort Lauderdale. Shout out to Bishop Henry Fernandez. All these shout outs. Gotta shout everybody out.
You have to, yeah.
They had the Impact Night again. And they asked me, the youth pastor asked me to do praise and worship. Right? So Ty is coming to preach, and he's gonna sing a little bit, but I'm opening up in praise and worship. So I do praise and worship. We have my singers, my band, and all of that. And then by the time Ty was about to come out, literally maybe like minutes, like 5 minutes before, somebody like calls me, like one of my girls is like calling me to backstage. And so I'm like, okay. So we go backstage, and they're like, oh, Ty wants you and your singers to sing background for him. And so I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And what's so crazy about that is I had a group of girls called Young Dreamers, and I would get with them. These were like, mentees. We had like a whole mentorship thing going on. And so we would get together every so often. A lot of them were aspiring singers, background vocalists. And so what I would do is if I had an event or whatever, I would open my rehearsals and have them come and sit in the rehearsals and participate in the rehearsals. And so I did that for Impact Night, right? Got together at one of the girls' house, had all these girls in there. And I'm like, after we get through running the music, I'm like, me and Sarah, my best friend Sarah, hey girl, we was talking to the girls and I'm like, this is why you have to keep doing these things. Like, even these rehearsals, like practicing music even when you don't have a gig, like, because you never know when an opportunity is going to present itself. So you want to make sure that you keep your chops up. Like, yes. You keep practicing, you keep doing what you got to do. If you say you want to be a professional background vocalist, who are you studying? Yes. Are you studying at all? So literally that was that Wednesday. The event was on a Friday night. So that Wednesday I had a rehearsal, gave that whole speech. That Friday, literally what I said happened. And they're like, oh yeah, Ty wants y'all to sing with him. And I'm like, all right, well, no rehearsal. First song is I Will Bless the Lord. And we don't got no song list after that. So I'm like, all right, let's get it together. Okay, who's singing what? Okay, cool. I pulled them girls together and I was like, let's go, let's do it.
That's real time mentorship.
Yeah.
Like it played out.
Mm-hmm. It played out. It was crazy. Like I could not even plan it. I just was doing what, I felt the Lord was telling me to do at the time.
Did you have a conversation with the girls after that?
Yeah.
What was that conversation?
It was like, see, this is why. This is why I do what I do. This is why we practice. This is why we keep, practicing, and we just do these random get-togethers and we go over music. Like I would give girls random songs and I'd be like, okay, figure out the alto, figure out the soprano. What are you hearing? Do you hear the right part? You know what I'm saying? Because that stuff is what puts you a cut above. You know what I'm saying? When you don't always have to be told your part, when you could hear a harmony and you know which one is yours. Like, I was doing all that stuff. So like teaching them to do it was a real joy that I have because like, you get to see people's dreams come true. Yes. Like, and just grateful that I was able to play that like small part. Maybe it wasn't small, but like.
It definitely wasn't small, but I understand what you're saying.
Just
yes.
like it's like a drop in the pond. Like I'm just watering the seed. And so when you start being able to experience these opportunities, anybody that rode with me know that like, if I know that you brought your stuff, I'm going to put you on.
Oh, let's go.
So like people, like artists will call me and be like, hey, like I need a crew in Florida, da 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 da. And I'll be like, okay, cool, I got you. And it's a done deal.
And you hit up the people you trust.
Yep. I hit up the people I trust. I hit up the people that I know can master whatever is being asked.
So let's talk about that for a second. Mm-hmm. Because to hear your story, mm-hmm. it's a beautiful story. But it doesn't play out the way it's playing out if you're not good at your craft.
Yep. It's true.
So with all of the dreaming you did.
Yes.
And with all of the faith you had, mm-hmm. you were still sharpening your gift.
Oh, of course. And I was singing every week at church.
But a lot of people sing every week at church.
That's true. And they don't practice for that. So that's really the problem.
A lot of people sing every Sunday at church. That is not good enough.
Woo!
So to aspire to be on a high level,
yeah,
means that you must prepare yourself to be able to execute on that level. Mm-hmm. And you did that and do that. Where in the world did that come from?
I think it came from my mama, like the discipline that she taught me. My mom is somebody that is committed to whatever she's committed to, like full-fledged. So like she's gonna do what needs to be done. She'll go the extra mile. And like that rolled over into me. So like we gave our best at church.
Yes.
Whereas most people would just kind of like be lackluster.
This we home.
Right. Exactly.
Most of these people, my family or my cousins or the people that go to school with me, it don't really. Let's just get by.
Yep.
And that wasn't your approach or your mom.
No.
People need to listen. People need to understand the importance of that.
Yeah.
It's like, who are you where you are? Mm-hmm. Because that will determine where you go next.
Yeah.
It always will.
Yeah.
So it's like, it doesn't matter if it's just a family church.
No.
If you aspire to do anything greater than this, you have to treat the small stage like the big stage.
Yeah. I feel like people trust me and artists trust me the way they do because they see the fruit of what I do at home. Like, I was giving 1,000% at home. So, if I'm on the road with you, I'm not giving you less than that.
Yes.
If I do this at home,
yes,
I'm going to do it on the road. Like, so, and that's tested, that is proven, that's posted everywhere to see.
Absolutely.
So, like, I feel like if we say the things that we do for God are for God, then they should be at our best level. They should be, the Bible tells us that we're supposed to do everything as unto the Lord anyway. So, like, that means that I should give it the best that I have.
Absolutely.
I should not. If I'm doing this for God, I shouldn't do it 50%. I shouldn't do it halfway. Yeah. But people, I don't know what makes people feel like doing stuff halfway because you at home is okay. Because it's like, how do you say God called me to this, but you lazy? Like, how do you say God called me to this, but you don't learn the songs? You don't learn the music. You don't show up on time. You don't care enough to, like, put effort into what you're doing.
Yes. And if you won't do it at home, you won't do it.
You're not going to do it. And if you think you will, it'll only last for a little bit because you don't have the stamina.
Yes.
You don't have the stamina. You don't have the character to maintain that high level of excellence because you have not done it for a prolonged period of time.
Yes. It has to be who you are.
Yep.
Or you won't be able to do it for a long period of time.
No, you won't.
And it started for you at 4 years old. That's what's crazy.
Yeah.
So you're doing all of this stuff you're doing. Mm-hmm. And now we have to talk about the other simultaneous thing that's happening at the same time.
Yes.
This whole entire time, you're working on another album.
Yes.
That's literally the whole time.
Literally. The entire time that I am traveling, I am working on another album. Okay? So I get with T-Ray. Shout out to T-Ray.
My dog. Yeah.
So get with T-Ray, and like the first song that we had ever worked on was Starting Over.
Yes.
And it was originally for another artist.
I know.
Yeah.
Like he sent me, like he told me who the artist was. Mm-hmm. He sent me the song. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, this is fire. Because you were singing the demo. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, this is pretty good. So y'all never had plans for it to be for you because it was for somebody else.
Exactly. We were on Skype.
Yeah.
Okay. This is 2014.
Yes.
2014 on Skype, probably October.
Yeah.
And he was just like making a beat.
Yeah.
He's making a beat or whatever. And I'm like listening to this. And he's like, yeah, you should write to this. And I'm like, okay, cool. I'll help you write it. And he gives me a line and it is, na, 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 but the words were different.
Oh, okay.
He sang some different words. And so when I sang it back to him, he was like, I don't like them words. I don't like them words. No.
But the melody was good.
I was like, no, like that is good. So if you want me to change it, I'll change it. Sure. So I changed it. I wrote that night. I wrote the verses, the first verse, the two verses and the chorus. And I sent it to him that night, but he was asleep by the time I sent it to him. And then the next day, he listened to it and he sent me a message back and he was like, yeah, this is your song.
It has to be.
He's like, this gotta be your song. It has
to be. And it's like, the song is amazing, number one.
Thank you.
Number two, so we're going to give them some background. During this time, I know that you're working on being a better songwriter, and recording yourself. These are two things that's like, T-Ray would tell me, like,
yes,
send me, like, he would even ask me, he like, send me whatever you got, and I'm going to tell Jalisa to write. I'm like, cool. So we had this whole back and forth before we ever seen each other.
Before we ever seen each other in the flesh.
Yeah.
We was working.
Yeah, so it was this whole thing of back and forth. And then he tells me, like, that y'all are going to start working on the album. I didn't know that it was going to take that long. And I'm sure you didn't either.
We did not. Neither one of us did it.
Just to give some context, we're all basically kids with dreams and aspirations and gifts. So none of us technically know what we're doing.
Right.
But we got each other.
Yes.
So we're just going to help each other,
That's
give each other
exactly
feedback.
what it is.
And we're just going to like figure it out.
As we're working.
Yes.
On other things.
Yes.
Because, like, I'm traveling. He traveling with Flo Rida and everybody else.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I was on the gospel scene and he on the R&B and pop and stuff. So, like, we were doing all of that at the same time. Also serving at church.
Yes. It's insane.
Insanity.
Crazy.
Absolutely
like,
ridiculous.
It was constantly always something. So y'all do starting over. It's supposed to be for somebody else. You write it, you sing it. He like, this yours.
Yep.
So are we saying, okay, let's do an album, or is this just a song that's gonna be yours?
It's just a song that's gonna be mine. And then we started working with Caleb. Shout out to Caleb.
Yeah.
Tracks. Chris White. We started working with him on different songs and stuff. And then we were like, oh, maybe we'll do an EP. Like,
okay, it started out,
you know,
as
like
an EP.
a urban, inspirational / R&B type vibes.
Yeah.
You know, we had all that. So we were gonna do an EP. And then it didn't happen. And then we just started writing more songs.
Yes.
And then that was when it turned into like, you know what? We should do an album. That was maybe, like mid 2015.
Yes.
Definitely around that time. Maybe closer to the end of the first quarter of 2015. I remember us having a conversation and it was just like, let's do it.
Right.
Let's do it. And so that's when we started writing more songs. I was, just writing stuff and sending it to him. He would come up with something musically and send it to me. And it'd be like, oh yeah, this is good.
Yes.
Some of the songs that were even on the album, like, were not even originally for my album. Like, Fully Persuaded.
Which smacks so hard. What was that song for?
It was really going to be a choir song.
Right?
Yeah, like.
But did y'all know who the choir was going to be, or y'all just like, let's make a choir song?
It was going to be Miami Mass.
Facts.
It was going to be Miami Mass. And the funny thing about Fully Persuaded is it started because I was on the phone with T-Ray. And something was going on with his Logic or something like that.
Yeah.
I think something was happening with that, either Logic or Pro Tools. And he was like, let me see. So he like just played something.
That was him testing the...
Yep.
That's because he's that good.
With some kind of sound, a different kind of sound. And I heard it and I was like, it was looping, but he was literally just testing it out.
That's crazy.
And he was like, okay, cool. I figured it out. I'm about to delete it. I was like, don't delete it. I said, send that to me. Yeah.
And you wrote Fully Persuaded off of that loop?
Yep.
That's crazy, Jalisa.
It's like, I'm fully persuaded.
Yeah,
like it was just,
love that joke.
and he thought it was just like the most. He was like, "You want me to send this to you? Why? Like it's not even nothing." I was like, "No, that is good. Send it to me." And that's how it happened. And then they took it and wrote the rest.
Yes, and then like, didn't they record that at the church?
We did actually. We did actually do it. Kim Burrell was at Upper Room.
Yeah.
They were celebrating their church anniversary in March of 2016, I want to say.
Yeah.
And shout out to Mark Cooper, Bishop, Mark Cooper, First Lady Joy. He asked me to like open up, like as one of the openers or whatever.
So y'all
for
like,
her.
let's just do Fully Persuaded.
I was like, yeah, I want to do Lone Ranger and Fully Persuaded.
We got to talk about Lone Ranger too.
Lone Ranger.
So let's talk about it because you recorded it 2 times.
Yep.
When did you record it the first time?
The first time was for my EP with Mickey Platt Jr. So I was that was one of them times I was at school.
Yeah.
With nothing to do. And I'm a big Molly Music fan. So like the writing was inspired just by his writing style. And this was 2013.
And what was the inspiration behind that song?
How I was talking about, like, you know how I talked about when I used to be bullied as a kid for being a good kid and stuff like that. Like, you know, it was at times it could be lonely. Yeah. Even in middle school and high school, like, I had friends, even some of my church friends, like, you know, that were in the youth group. They, you know, we all love the Lord, but they a little more, you know, out there than I am.
Yeah.
Because, like, you know, I just was not the one that was venturing out and doing all of the things.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, you know, it could be lonely because people would say things that could really, like, hurt my feelings. But I was like, I don't care because I love the Lord.
Yeah.
And Jesus is my best friend anyway. So that's just kind of how that song came about.
So I'm going to ask you a question.
Yeah.
So on the outside, I love the Lord.
Yeah.
Jesus is my best friend. At the crib, how are you handling these lonely days?
Ooh, at the crib, most days were good. Some days would be like, dang, like, okay, I'm sort of like an outcast in a sense. And most people are considered an outcast when they do the bad things. And so for me to kind of like be the outcast or the loner or the, you know, the one that's kind of like, you know, we kind of don't vibe with this person because I'm doing the right thing. It was really like confusing to me because I'm like, and I'm nice. So I'm like, yeah, y'all do whatever y'all do, but I'm still a friendly person. So like certain people would pick little fights with me. Even when I graduated high school and I was in college and got into the South Florida music scene and, you know, like all of that stuff, like it would be like, sometimes I would feel like people would pick fights with me just for no reason, just because like I was good and I was young and I was friendly, I was nice. So people felt like they could do little things to like either walk over me or just like, you know, try to spread stuff that wasn't true. Like people felt like I thought I was all that and like I was better than everybody and I was arrogant. Like people thought a lot of stuff. I would hear stuff about me and I would be like toe up, like crying, like, why do people think this?
Wow.
Because it was just like, what?
You know it's not true.
Yeah. And I'm like, I don't know where people would get this from. But it took those things to help me understand that a lot of that had to do with people having problems with their own self.
Yeah, like when you're gifted like you are. Somebody told me something one day, like sometimes you doing well is offensive to people who won't put in the work.
Yep.
So instead of them acknowledging that they won't put in the work to be that, it's easier and it's more convenient to try to tear you down.
Yes.
The truth is they are amazing.
Yeah.
And I actually would like to be more like that, but I'm not disciplined enough to get that good.
Yeah.
That's real
truth. That's the truth.
And it hurts that she's so good. The greatness in her reminds me of what I'm not willing to do.
That's deep.
It reminds me of what I'm not willing to do. And that pisses me off. So instead of just being like, all right, let me get on my stuff. It's just like, no, it's more convenient and it's easier to just be like, you think you all that.
Yeah.
No, I am who I am.
Yep.
I have what I prayed for. I've obtained what I worked for.
Yeah.
The opportunities come from me doing what I got to do.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
It's work. It's work that is put into it. And I think sometimes people don't realize, like, you know how the Bible says faith without works is dead. So like all of these things that I've done, I didn't just get by faith, I got by works. And these were works unto the Lord. Yes. But like, you know, you can't just look at somebody and think, oh, like, why they doing this? Why can't I do this? Like, you don't know what that person had to do. You don't know how long their journey was, and you don't know what happens behind closed doors. Yes. You don't know the things that people struggle with to produce the oil and the things that they produce, because like it's just not seen. Everybody sees the glamour and the fame of it all, but they don't really know like the behind the scenes stuff. You know, it can be lonely. It can be difficult because just as a creative off rip, you're already at a risk of being misunderstood. And then when you're a leader you also are at an even higher risk of being misunderstood. It's almost like, especially at a young age, it's like, people will mistake certain things that you say and take it and run with it. They will not understand you, and so they will misinterpret a lot of things and use it against you. Like, it's so many things that people go through that y'all don't understand. And so, like, when you look at somebody and you envy them because of where they are, you have to kind of check yourself and remind yourself, like, something had to happen for them to get to this place.
Rajay is the way you say.
At the end of the day, I would need to be comfortable with myself more. And because I felt like in order for me to be my true self, or in order for me to have a big impact on the world, I would need to be with a group of people that I know, when that's not the case. I was kind of scared at first because I felt like I was going to miss them. My parents have told me many times that I have gifts and I need to use it, and like people wish they could do what I do, and I was like, I don't want to do that. Since I was really young, I really like to speak and make people feel better in life, and it's just something I enjoy. Hi, this is Nay, and that was Nay's Place. If you want to catch more, search Nay's Place on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and RXS Entertainment YouTube channel.
Oh, that's good.
Like, it didn't just happen by osmosis.
Absolutely.
It didn't just like fall out of the sky in their lap. Like, there was work, there was sweat, there was blood, there were tears that went into this dream. So, yeah, like, these are things that I prayed for, and these are things that I worked hard for. I've always proven myself in the instances that I had to, in the instances that I was given, the responsibilities that I've been given. I've proven myself in those responsibilities so I can be trusted with more.
Absolutely.
Faithful over the few things.
You make it roll over me.
Yeah, but you gotta be faithful over the few. You can't drop the few.
Yeah, sometimes the few is your home church with 5 people in it.
Yep. That's the few.
That's the few.
And if that's where you're supposed to be and you handle it properly, you'll see the fruit from it. And sometimes the fruit don't always come in the way that you think it should. So, like, that's another thing, like trusting the timing of everything that God has. Like, you think, okay, if I serve for 2 months straight, then it's going to happen. Like,
you're looking at the clock.
Yeah, like, and maybe for some people that might happen, but a lot of times that's not how it happens. It's a constant, like, it's a waiting thing. You have to wait on the Lord.
So speaking of timing, you write Starting Over in 2015. Starting Over, the single, came out in what year?
2018.
Hey, yo, I got to tell you a funny story about, I don't even know if you know this, T-Ray, you going to cry.
Lord.
So, T-Ray hits me like, I'm about to send you this link. I need you to make sure this mix and master straight for Starting Over. I'm like, sure, because that's just what we do.
Yes.
I listen to it. It sounds amazing.
Okay.
I give him the thumbs up. We good.
Okay.
Some time goes by. So mind you, let me give more context. The link has a time on it.
Okay.
So you can only download from this link.
Yes.
For
a certain amount of time.
Okay, you guys, y'all following me?
Okay.
He sends me the link. I download the single. It sounds amazing. Some time goes by. T-Ray hits me like, bro, you remember that time I sent you Starting Over so you can hear it? Yeah, man. Would you happen to have that on your computer?
Oh, Lord God. Y'all, Jamal done saved the day. The only reason y'all even heard Starting Over is because he had it.
Jalisa!
Oh, Lord.
I'm like, yes,
Lord.
I do, man. He like, let me get that. We got to put that on the DSPs.
Oh.
Yo!
Oh, my God.
Yo!
Woo.
Yo! That's classic, yo.
It happens to the best of us.
It happens to the best of us.
That's what I heard.
I had the master to Starting Over in my computer.
Y'all would have never heard it.
So What year you say that was?
That was 2018 when it came out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now let's fast forward.
Fast forward.
When did the album come out?
Album came out this year, 2023, January.
Which is what's crazy. So let me tell you what's crazy about that. Number one, by the time they see this episode,
it's gonna be 2024.
It's gonna be 2024. But now, you wrote the song in 2015.
Yeah.
You put it out in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
The album came out January 1st, 2023.
January 10th.
10th.
Mm-hmm.
January 10th, 2023.
My birthday.
Yes. All right. First of all, there's a lot of layers to this that is going to get us to Jalisa today.
Okay.
So I need y'all to follow me for a second. Number one.
Hold on. Buckle your seat.
Number one, the song, I'm sure at the time that you wrote it, I don't know where your mind was, but the song and I knew was a very prophetic song
for sure.
For you. You and I had not talked, but I was connected enough to feel what I felt when I heard that song. I'm like, oh my gosh. I don't even know if she's aware of what this song is going to mean to her. I'm listening and I'm like, this your real life. I don't know if you know this your real life or not, but every single word is your real life. So you put the single out, working on the album, everything's still good. You're doing the gigs, you in Florida, everything good. Now, the album drops on January 10th. Your life is changing
drastically
at this time.
Yes.
Right? Where you are literally starting over.
Literally.
Like, did it ever cross your mind that the single being the first song you wrote for the album, the lyrics of the song, the beginning of a new year, and your transition, did it ever occur to you that they were all connected?
Honestly, from the beginning, like from the single, when I first wrote it, I didn't know the connection at all, because I do feel like another gift that I have is to like speak for other people. So like this was kind of like this is a really great message. It's not necessarily applicable to me at the time, but cool. Yeah, it could be for other people, right?
Yes.
So when it really started hitting was probably later on in that year after it was written, because I started going through transitions in like friendships and like, losing friends and different things like that. And so that was because friendship is a big part of my life.
Yes.
It's like, okay, this was like a literal new beginning for me.
Yes. And to give context to that again, Jalisa is a very loving family, friends, vibes, love, good energy. Yeah. She's that type of person. If she your friend, she your friend until you don't want to be her friend no more. That's literally how it works.
Yeah. Until you don't want to be my friend no more, and then that's it. I guess we done. Yeah. It's so terrible. Yeah.
So for you to go through friends changing, I know is devastating for you because it's a life shift when people shift.
For sure.
Because of your heart.
Yeah.
And your loyalty and like
the connections and everything. Yeah. Yeah. So that was like when it started hitting and clicking. But then getting closer to like 2023 was really like stuff was really changing, like as far as just living in Florida and how I felt about like where I was at the time. It was just like,
okay, are you okay with sharing how you felt at the time?
Yeah, a little bit.
All right, let's go a little bit.
So like something that I talked to Mark McClary Jr., amazing drummer. Shout out to him.
Yes.
He was the drummer at my home church when I was a kid all the way through till he graduated high school. And something that he told me, because this was probably back in February of 2023, we were in the UK with William McDowell, And we were sitting in the lobby waiting to leave to go to the venue for the event. And he says to me, he said, so when you leaving? I had never talked to him about moving. Never. Okay? But he just knew. And I was like, I'm thinking about, like, I think I'm going to be moving in the summertime. And he was like, yeah. He was like, I can tell, like, it's time. It's been time. Like, been time. And I was like, what? And he was like, yeah. He said one of the things that is a signal to him of when it's time to transition is when he is the only one that is kind of like frustrated and like literally everything is frustrating him and like nobody else really cares that much.
Interesting.
And I was like, I can relate.
Yeah.
It was kind of that season where it was just like everything was just like like on all fronts. So it was just like, okay, like I gotta, but I had already been visiting here, visiting North Carolina, at World Overcomers Christian Church. I would come out, shout out WOCC on my shirt. Gang. So I was coming here maybe like once a month throughout 2023, and just or 2020 from 2022 on.
Yes.
Like mid 2022 on, I was coming like once a month. And I was really like, I had a community built really here already.
Yes.
Shout out to my worship pastor, my music pastor, Joshua Sissel, Johnny White.
Yo, amazing, extremely gifted people.
Amazing. And shout out to World Worship. But yeah, like I had already built friendships, relationships here. The members of the church, like they started to know me, the more that I came, and I could feel that sense of home here. Like I would come here and be so sad when I would go back to Florida.
Yeah.
And it wasn't because like, oh, I didn't love my people and I didn't love my family. I didn't love my home church. It wasn't that. It was just that times were shifting and changing. And I could feel that. And so, when you kind of feel that tug of change, stuff is just, it starts getting really frustrating and agitating.
Yes, that's an amazing word. I like that.
Yeah, agitating. So like that was kind of the thing that was happening, and I was realizing like, okay, this is like a crossroads. Like you're basically at a crossroads, and the two options that you have are to stay and kind of like be in the same place all across the board, not just in one particular area, or you move and you move forward, and so
when you say same place, explain the layers of same place.
Same place was kind of like doing the same thing, and I was living with my mom, and it wasn't that like I love my mom, but living with my mom as an adult,
like
it's a lot.
Yes,
it becomes a lot,
yes.
right?
Yes.
So on that front, it was a lot. Like even as far as like serving in ministry, that serving was never a lot for me. But it's kind of like how when it's like you feel like you're continuing to like try to move forward, but you feel like you're pressing against a brick wall in a certain instance.
Yes.
It kind of felt like that, like almost like I had gone as far as I could go.
Yes, and it's like almost like the hamster wheel thing.
Yeah.
It's like you can literally be putting all your energy into, and you could be running really fast. But you on a hamster wheel. That just go.
And it wasn't even like everything was so terrible. Like it's not even that stuff had to be bad. It's just like, for your own, your own personal convictions, like, okay, I feel like this is as far as I could go.
Yes.
So, I had those instances, and just like with other things in South Florida, it was like it wasn't really much else I felt. For me to really do as far as moving forward was concerned. And so coming here, visiting here really showed me like the things that it showed me what moving forward looked like.
Yes.
For me. And so when I finally like made the decision, like, okay, yeah, I'm moving. When it was like so many things were being confirmed every time before I even moved, it was just like, this is insane. So when Mark McCleary Jr. said that to me, and he was like, when you leaving, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
He was like, yeah, no, it's been time. Like, it's been time.
So let's talk about that too. Because of the type of person you are,
yeah.
I'm very sure that you stayed after you knew, like, it's probably time, but let me make sure.
I think what happened was I realized that I stayed a little longer than I should have after the fact.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And, you know, God does all things well, so it is what it is. But yeah, like, I do feel like I didn't really think that it was too late or too long or whatever until after the fact.
Wow.
Yeah. And some good perspective that Josh gave me even about that was just like, you know, when you move out of the way, when you take your step, your next step, you are creating room for the next person to grow in their space, because the longer you stay is the longer somebody else doesn't get the chance to really grow into, you know, their next.
And thank you, Josh, number one, because it is a healthy perspective.
For sure.
That I don't know the word to use, but it's a healthy perspective that keeps things moving forward. Because
progressive.
Yes. For example, this didn't really happen. But say, for example, there's a young girl who just graduated high school at your home church. She's looking for what's next for her. Yep. And it could be her doing what you were doing. And it's the beginning for her and the end for you.
Yep.
So you moving out of the way helps you move forward and it helps her move forward.
Yep.
And it doesn't have to be a bad thing.
It does not. It doesn't. And I was so adamant. I was making sure that I was very adamant about when I moved, letting people know that I wasn't moving because of a scandal, something happened to me, somebody made me mad, like, because that's
typically what happens in
the thing
transitions.
In church. Yeah, like, you know, when people leave, it's always got to be, oh, something happened, who did what? It wasn't that. It was literally a nudge from the Lord, like, all right, it's time to move. It's time to move, because I was never thinking about leaving.
Yeah,
never.
So it never crossed your mind, but you got to a place in your life where you had this feeling. And you're like, okay.
Yep. Wow. Yep. Because you
would have never left if you didn't have that feeling.
No. Anybody that knows me, even people on the road that know me, were literally the same thing. They were like, girl, I'm surprised you left that church. Like, you were not leaving that church. I love my home church. Redeemer Word Christian Center. Shout out. Pastor Ed, Pastor Lonnie, Pastor Jarrell, Bonita and Mark McCleary Sr.
Yeah.
All my leaders. They taught me, like, I learned everything that I know.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? The foundation of everything that I knew was learned at home. Yes. Leading worship, all the stuff that I be posting now that people be so hype about. Like, I learned that at home.
Yeah, man.
So I'm never downing home. Like, that's just, you know, and that's why I can say, like, yeah, it wasn't nothing bad. It wasn't no scandal. It wasn't no mess. You know, it wasn't no drama. No, it wasn't no drama. It was literally a move of the Lord. Like, all right, cool. Go ahead. It's time to go.
So you make the decision for North Carolina to be your new home. Was it hard for you to do that?
Not really, because like I said, when I was coming here like once a month, it was really helping me build even more of those connections. And so I felt home here. Every time I visited, it felt like home. So it was like, okay, like if I move here, like I know I'm gonna be straight. Like I know I'm gonna be good. I'm gonna be taken care of. Like it's not gonna be no issues. That was something that I had faith for, you know? So like it was just, it's what happened. It was almost like it was meant to be completely honest.
It's insane how it happened. Mm-hmm. And for you to be here now, first of all, I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
I've always been proud of you, and I'm happy for you because I can tell. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's like, for those of you that have ever had to transition from one place to another, it's never just geographical.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, it's never just geographical. Sometimes moving, you think different.
For sure.
It's like, whoa. I'm creative in a way that I didn't ever think I would be again from just moving.
For sure. Indeed.
I'm able to hear God again from just moving. Like, what in the world?
Yeah.
Did you have any type of experience outside of just the location that let you know, like, yo, I'm in a different space?
Yeah, it was just like, I had a lot of like relational changes as well. So it was like, you know, in the season of transition, it was me leaving home, but it was also a part of me going back home relationally, because I was reaching back out to people that I had stopped talking to or like being friends with, because just being in a different space now, transition really opens your eyes. Yes. It really opens your eyes. It really makes you, like you said, it makes you think differently. It makes you see things differently. And so it was a exchange happening as I moved. But yeah, like the relational changes, even just the way that I view myself as a worker. You know what I'm saying? Like my work ethic and just like how I do things, how I see things now, it's a lot different. Like I was just talking to somebody yesterday about how, you know, I'm starting to get like I'm starting to dream a little bit again when it comes to like different musical things, or just like, you know, just doing even the little covers that I want to do with keyboard players and stuff. Like that idea I posted with Bart or not too long ago. Like that idea I had years ago.
Yeah.
And like I finally was like, oh, let's do it. You know, and I just did it. And I got another one coming with David Minus Jr. Shout out to him.
Yeah.
And so like these are things that like are starting to come back now.
Yeah.
After like this whole period of transition, like is a freedom here that like I haven't felt in a while. Yes. And so like it's definitely, it makes you see things, it makes you dream different, it makes you hear different, a lot clearer.
Yes.
You can hear God a lot clearer when you follow him and you transition. As tough as transition may be, it makes things on the other end a lot easier.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So the last thing I want to talk to you about that we did not talk about yet is I want to answer it. I mean, I want to ask two things.
Okay.
What does it mean to be a worship leader objectively? Mm-hmm. And then what does it mean to you, for you to be a worship leader? So
the objective is also kind of falls into the answer of what it is for me too, because I'm a person that goes by the, you know, not by the book, but definitely like if this is the purpose of a thing, this is what it is. Yeah. So I feel like the objective of a worship leader, and I talk about this a lot with my clients, is to create that, or to spearhead the creation of a safe space for people to feel free to worship the Lord, right? We are supposed to be pointing people to Jesus. We're supposed to be directing them to him and not to ourselves. So my goal is to make sure that in everything that I do in this period of me being a worship leader is that I point you to him. Yeah. And it's great that I sound good. You should sound good if you're going to be a part of the music ministry anyway.
Facts on facts on facts.
So like, it's great that I sound good, but I don't want the takeaway to be, oh, she just sounded good. I want the takeaway to be like, wow, the Lord was present. Like, she sounded good and the Lord's hand is on her. She sounded good and the Lord moved through her and touched me. Like, my heart was drawn closer to God through her voice or through something that she said. That is the objective for me personally. I want people to feel closer to God when they hear me or when I lead them.
Do you teach this stuff?
Yeah.
Talk about that.
So I am a coach, a vocal coach, and I coach worship leaders also. So I have my own coaching business, Find Your Voice Coaching Services. And so right now I've been more so concentrated on coaching worship leaders. It's just a big part of me. So that's why I've always had a passion for that. And I've always, told, like I've been making speeches about it to, music ministries forever. So I do coach worship leaders for sure, and I teach them these things. We talk about the spiritual aspect, and we also work on the vocal aspect as well. Like, okay, how are you?
They're both equally important, right?
Yes. Like you got to have the right heart first and foremost, and then after that, you got to make sure your art is straight. Because what's the point of having a music ministry, a separate music ministry, if none of us are good?
Wow. So you said the heart.
Mm-hmm,
the art.
And the art.
That's fire, Jalisa.
Yeah. What I do is like I spell it heart and I capitalize the A.
Oh, that's good.
You can't spell heart without art. And if your art doesn't start with he, H-E, then is your heart really in it at all? That's the whole thing.
That's fire.
Yeah, man.
And it's real and it's true.
Yeah.
And it is it's needed. You are necessary.
I'm just doing my level best.
And it is impacting people's lives, yo.
Yeah, man. I'm grateful.
Like, seriously.
I'm so grateful.
Like, what you have inside of you is insane. It's crazy. Like, it's crazy. So it's like, to hear your story,
mm-hmm.
and to hear where you come from and to know where you are now.
Yeah.
You deserve it all.
Thank you. I didn't even finish my Ty Tribbett story. That's funny. I just realized that.
You want to finish a Ty Tribbett story right now?
I can real quick.
Please do.
Okay, so I did the worship and I sang with him at the Impact Night in 2017.
Yeah.
He reached out in 2019. I was at a show with James Fortune.
Yeah.
I met Dietrich Haddon that night. Dietrich put me up on stage that night. Ty was also on the ticket that night. And I didn't get to speak to him, but I posted and he responded and was like, hey, like, what's your information? Like, I got some stuff coming up that I might want you to be a part of. Blah,
yeah.
Blah, blah. So that was 2019. 2021.
Yeah.
Right? 2 years later.
Yeah.
I think he reaches back out again, asks again, and I gave him my number and my email. And then I get a text maybe February.
Yeah.
I get a call first from Kelvin, the manager, and I didn't know the number, and I was in the middle of coaching a session virtually. Yeah. And then he sends me a text like, hey, this is Kelvin, Ty's manager, da-da-da, give me a call. And I was like, give me 1 second.
You told him. Yo, I'll be right back.
Because if you think that I'm finna just let this text message sit and not call this man back right away, please. Yeah. So I talked to Kelvin, and that was when, the opportunity presented itself for me to sing background with Ty Tribbett. I sang.
And then you do a tour?
I did the tour, yeah. I did the All Things New tour. I started singing with Ty in April 2021. And then we recorded the first All Things New album in Orlando in June 2021.
That's crazy.
I found out the song that I was leading on the day before we recorded it.
So that's another feature?
Another feature. Oh my God. Another feature on the All Things New first, All Things New. And then traveling some more with him, March 2022 comes around. Or no, July 2022 comes around and All Things New album drops.
Yeah.
We do the album release concert. That is recorded.
The same thing happened again.
The same thing again. And I think they were aiming more towards like this also being released.
Yeah.
So this was a little bit more of a planned thing. But yeah, another feature again. All Things New live in Orlando drops in March of 2023.
That's insane.
Along with Kiera Sheard's album that dropped on the same day as All Things New Live in Orlando that I sang background on in 2021.
Okay, so how did that happen? See, yo, this is crazy. I forgot about that.
So I met Kiki's cousin, Mark J. Shout out to Mark J.
Okay.
In 2018. He sang with us with Jonathan in Detroit. He's from Detroit. So I met him then, and then we did, a couple of other things with Jonathan together as well. And Kiki was doing a live record, and he called me and he was like, "Hey, Kiki about to do a live record. Like, we want you to sing, whatever. And I was like, okay.
Yo, that's crazy.
And then he passed my number on, and I got in touch with Jay Drew, talked to Jay Drew. And and they were like already like very familiar with me because of Upper Room, the stuff that I did with Upper Room during the pandemic.
Yo, you was going...
I love them.
Yo, she was going crazy with the Upper Room during the pandemic.
Miami home.
Gosh.
Yeah. So like that was a thing. That was another thing that was just kind of like attributed just to me serving, and it like, opening doors for me really.
Yes.
And so yeah, that was a thing. I did that. He hit me up. I was like, okay, cool. Yeah, I'll do it. I had 2 shows, 2 days in a row with Ty. And then I went to Detroit because I had to sing with Jonathan Nelson that Sunday morning. And then that Monday, I stayed in Detroit for the rest of the week because I had to work for the live recording and learn songs.
You've done so much in so little time.
The grace of God. I'm telling you.
It's crazy. But then... it's not crazy.
Right. Correct. It's not.
It's like, dang. But then it's like, well, no, that makes sense.
It makes sense. Yeah, man.
Yo, so like, let's make pretend there's a young girl. She may be in like, let's say she in 5th or 6th grade. And her dreams are very similar to yours. What would you say to that girl?
Oh, I would say keep working. Like, believe in God and believe in yourself. Believe that He has given you all of the tools that you need to be who He has called you to be. Don't let nobody play you. Don't let nobody talk you out of the dreams that you have. Don't let anybody make you feel like you're not good enough. And just keep working. Like, keep that discipline up. Keep that discipline up. Always be teachable. Always be a student. Don't be a know-it-all, okay? Because I'm not a know-it-all. Even with all of the things that I've learned, I don't know it all. So don't be a know-it-all. Always be teachable, and just put that work in. Put that work in to be the very best.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. This was fun.
Yes.
We gotta do it again.
I appreciate you being transparent and telling your story.
Of course.
And I am very sure that it's going to inspire people because it inspired me.
Prayerfully, yes.
So thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Y'all, this has been another episode of the RXS podcast with Jalisa Faye. We out.
We out.
Peace.